I want to share 6 questions that you can use when you have a problem to basically get to the bottom of it, to figure out what is causing this problem, and from that, how can I solve it? When we have a problem, a behavior problem, we always want to look for the cause, because if we just address the symptoms, one, it can get worse in the long run, especially if we're using equipment to try to deal with the symptoms. For example, if we have a horse that is shaking his head and opening his mouth, and we put a really tight noseband on, and then we put a martingale or a tie down on to keep his head low, we're addressing a symptom. We're not looking for what is the root cause of this head tossing. And why it can make it worse is if the root cause is the horse is tense because he's not understanding what the rider is asking for, and now we've just restricted the symptom, we can see bigger things. So now the head tossing might go to a horse that starts popping up and down and trying to rear when he gets frustrated. So we always want to look for what is the cause. Sometimes when we look for the cause, it can be a quick fix. It can be something like put on a saddle that fits well and the behavior problem of bucking simply goes away. Or sometimes it's something that takes more time. For example, with the head tossing, if this horse simply doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing and he's tense because of that, that's going to be a longer term solution of going back to foundational training, helping the horse relax, helping him be calm, and teaching him again those basic cues so that he can have more confidence in his job. Okay, so let's go through these 6 questions, and as we're going through these, I would encourage you to have in your mind maybe a problem that you've encountered so that you can be asking these and considering them for your own situation, for you and your horse. So the first one is the behavior something that is learned or emotional? Now, when we're just watching, we can get some clues to this. So we can see like how much emotion is the horse putting into this? Are they just going through the motions? Are they just doing the thing? Or are they getting really nervous and upset, and is there emotion in it? So an example of this could be with I actually did this with my horse Promise, and she was the mare that would always get really nervous at the mounting block. And I was curious because I was thinking, is this something that she's just learned to do, or is she actually getting really emotional here? And what would happen is she would come to the mounting block, and then you could see her face start to change, the tension come across of her face, and then she would start pinning her ears, and then she would start trying to back up or swing her hip out. We even put a heart rate monitor on, and we saw that when she came up to the block, her heart rate would start to spike. So this gave us 2 important clues that it really was an emotional response. It wasn't just that she was walking up to the block and then swinging her hindquarters out without any real emotion in it. That would be something that would seem more like, this could be a learned behavior. But when I start seeing emotion, that gives me a clue that it's not just something the horse has learned to do, but that we've got to dig a little bit deeper. So the next thing is, does the horse have any physical problems? And this one, it can be really easy to just, kind of check a box here and say, no, he's fine, I'm sure he's fine. But unfortunately, our horses can't talk. And now, as a trainer that has chosen to specialize in behavior problems, there are so many horses that have come in that we find a physical cause to the problem. For example, we had the little mare who was coming in very reactive to being touched around her head. The owners had tried many different bits. They had tried lots of training. They still weren't able to find a solution to this. It turns out she had a broken tooth. It turns out with Promise, she had kissing spines. I've had a friend's horse here who was really reactive about being brushed. And some people thought, she's just being a mare. She's just being overly sensitive. Well, it turns out that the food that she was getting was causing a hormonal response that was making her really uncomfortable. A change in food, and she was a different horse within about a week. So we've always got to really keep an open mind and kind of keep asking this question, is there anything that could be going on here? The next thing is, what is the trigger? So what is the thing that is causing this behavior? For Promise, it was mostly the mounting block, and that gave me a clue. Okay, there's some association here with riding. There's an association with having someone that's about to climb on her back. So it's, what is the thing that happens that triggers the behavior? If you have a horse that is bucking, what's the trigger? Do they just buck randomly? Or is it each time that you're asking for that right canter lead? Which gives you a clue, okay, is something happening on this right canter lead that my horse is having to use his body in a way that maybe he's hitting, he's using himself in a way that's uncomfortable, that's triggering a pain that's causing the problem. So it's, what's the trigger? The next thing is, how can we keep breaking this down? So how can we make this so simple that from a training perspective, we can start to build back up and see where the problem occurs? For example, going back to this horse that's bucking, we can look at, does the horse buck on the lunge line wearing his tack? Does he buck on the lunge line not wearing his tack? If the change is there, that gives us a clue, okay, there's something with the tack that might be causing the bucking. If we're still having the problem, then what about in the field? How is he when he's moving in the field? Do we ever see this problem there? Or when, if there's a problem, for example, the bucking with a specific rider, does it also occur with other riders? So by breaking a problem down, we get more information about, where is the difference? It's not happening here, but it's happening here, and what's the change? We always want to set the horse up for success. So I'm going to go back to my example with Promise. With Promise, I went from, okay, let's not work on this mounting block issue in the arena when there's 3 other riders riding around. Let's actually take the mounting block just into her stall. And I'm going to stand on the mounting block, and we're going to do targeting exercises, having her walk up. So we set up for success by going into an environment that was very calm, and sometimes even just taking away other options makes the right choice for the horse that much easier for them to find. So it's, how can we set up for success? And then the one down at the bottom here is, what are you reinforcing? There's many times that we can accidentally reinforce a wrong behavior. If we're having poor timing, or if we're always backing off when the horse does the unwanted behavior. This could be something like if you're using fly spray and your horse is just reacts in a big way every time that the fly spray starts. But if this horse has learned that you start to spray the fly spray, he throws his head up and runs backwards, and you stop spraying, it's reinforcing the wrong behavior. The start of the spray is triggering his big behavior, the spray stops, and now to him, this big behavior consistently stops the spray. So the wrong behavior is being reinforced there. In a situation like this, it's going to take breaking it down, set the horse up for success, work in a quiet environment, spray 10 feet away from the horse in the opposite direction, and gradually work up the steps from there. But it's an example of, with poor timing, we can inadvertently be teaching the horse something that we don't even want to be teaching them, and that's where our communication can break down and a problem can stem from there. So go through these questions for a problem that you're having and notice, what insight does it give you? How can you get more information, and does it give you an idea to try something different to solve this problem? If you want more riding tips like this, but want to go even deeper and create a foundation of skill in your riding that allows you to be confident and effective and honestly more connected with your horse, understanding how riding goes beyond just how we sit in the saddle, but how we really communicate with our horse. So if you're interested in taking a deeper dive, I would love to have you join me in my balanced riding course. You can learn more down below, and I'd love to have you as a student there.